adjusting the end. If there's anything I can adjust on this thing, can I? Is it adjustable? Is this adjustable?
Welcome. Good morning. I hope you're ready for a wonderful event. What I'd like to do first, will Regina Williams please come forward? Ms. Williams is the Assistant Operations Manager of the United States Bankruptcy Court for the Eastern District of New York, will lead us in singing the national anthem, after which we ask that you remain standing for the invocation. Thank you.
Let us pray. It's been a long and often difficult journey, but here they are, O God, the class of 2011. We join them in celebrating this large achievement and wish them well as they commence their careers in the noble profession of the law. Before we celebrate, however, we want to express thanksgiving for all who assisted these graduates on their long journey. Thank you for friends and colleagues who stood beside them in the hard times and joined with them celebrating the good times. Thank you for families who supported them, encouraged them, and perhaps prayed for them. Thank you for professors who shaped and formed them, mentors who advised them, and administrators who assisted them. Thank you for achievements large and small, academic and professional, personal and social. Thank you that the classroom preparation is over, and thank you for the sweet taste of anticipation of a new day and a new journey. Bless each member of the class of 2011 and grant them success. Help each of them to uphold the law and seek justice. Keep them faithful to the large trust placed in their hands, the law of this land. Thank you for these years of learning. Thank you for the joy of this day. Thank you for the hope of tomorrow. Amen.
Be seated. Thank you, Reverend Dr. And thank you, Regina Williams. Welcome to the members of the class of of 2011, and the 26 alumni parents, spouses, and other relatives of the graduate students seated on the stage. I would also especially like to welcome the family and friends of our graduates and thank them for all the support and encouragement that helped make it possible for the graduates to reach this day. I ask the members of the class of 2011 to please give all of them a warm applause. I shall begin the program by calling on Alex Paul Ginsberg, valedictorian, to speak on behalf of the class of 2011.
Thank you, Chairman Savati. Good morning to all my classmates, their friends and family, members of the faculty and the administration, and everybody else here today. It is a great, great honor to be here today, speaking to all of you. I have organized my remarks into 4 sections, each denoted by an uplifting, optimistic, and appropriately light-affirming theme. Regret, begging, indebtedness, and presumptuousness. Let us begin with regret. When I first learned that I finished law school with the highest grades, I was very pleased, of course. My second reaction, however, was abject, intense, gut-churning terror. And that was because I realized that I'd be required to get up here and say a few words on behalf of the class of 2011. It's not the public speaking part that I was worried about. It's the on behalf of the class of 2011 part. After all, I feel pretty confident that most of my classmates at this very moment are staring at me and thinking to themselves, I don't think I've ever seen this man before. So how do I speak on behalf of the class of 2011 when I did not really interact with the vast majority of the class of 2011? You see, I was in the evening program and I worked a full-time job during the day, and for the last... and for the last 2 years of the program, I was a new father. It's not that I didn't want to be a part of the larger life of the law school. I just couldn't do much else besides show up to class and get the reading done. And as a result, I never got to meet the great majority of you, my classmates. That's the regret part. I'm certain that I missed out on valuable relationships and stimulating arguments. I know that when I perused the list of award winners for today's ceremony, most of the names were completely new to me. Most poignantly, as you all know, there are 2 members of our class who lost their lives during our time here at Brooklyn Law School. I never had an opportunity to meet or to get to know either Justin or Allison. My regret is tempered by the knowledge that many of you here today did get to know them. The reason I found myself in the evening program is that for me, the practice of law was going to be a third career. I had already been a school teacher and a newspaper reporter. But I was a newspaper reporter at a newspaper that I disliked. Never mind which one. Making a salary that I disliked nearly as much. And I saw little opportunity for advancement in an industry that was shedding jobs at an alarming clip. I was married. My wife Lauren and I had plans to start a family. Brooklyn Law School's evening program was really something of a lifesaver for me. It enabled me to go to law school while still continuing to earn and to support my family. So, to Brooklyn Law School, thank you, really, thank you so very much for having a part-time program. Which brings me to the begging portion. I beg you, I really beg you never to give up the part-time program. For those of us who needed to be working while we were in the program, there was really no other way we could have done this. I don't believe I'm exaggerating to say that if part-time law programs didn't exist, I would not be here today. Which brings me now to the indebtedness. There are a great many people who deserve a lot of credit for helping me. These are the people without whom I could not have made it. Most important is my wife, Lauren, whose love and support made it easier for me to get done what I needed to get done. And she, by the way, was finishing a doctoral dissertation during much of this time. I also want to thank my daughter Isabel, who turned 2 days ago. She got me out of the books and into the playground, occasionally, which was healthy in the end. And she reminded me every second of every day why I needed to do a good job at this. Because while this third career is surely for my own personal satisfaction, it is also a means to provide her with the things I feel she deserves. I would also like to thank my parents, Mark and Judy, particularly for patiently accepting, without judgment, my frequent career changes. This is probably a very strange moment for them, I'm sure. You see, they're both violinists in the New York Philharmonic. And I grew up watching them perform on this very stage on countless occasions. So for one brief moment anyway, they're in the audience and I'm the one performing. I would also like to acknowledge a few of the classmates I did get to know. First, Anne Del Castillo, who became a mother during law school. Watching Anne do what she did and making it look easy made it possible for me to keep going. Second, Charles Brutton. Charles Brutton, who befriended me on our first day here, and who is one of the most genuinely kind and outgoing people I've ever met. And Benjamin Simpson, who continually challenged my understanding of the most complex topics, particularly those of criminal law. So let me end with some presumptuousness. The humble thing to do would be to acknowledge that my experience here has been qualitatively different than that of most of the class, particularly the gay students. And accordingly, to admit that there's really nothing I can say that will be very relevant to you. Many of you were born in 1986, by which time I was already 13 years old. It was the year I watched the Space Shuttle Challenger explode. I remember when U.S. planes bombed Libya that year, something that, as you all know, they did again this year. In 1986, Arnold Schwarzenegger married Maria Shriver. A marriage that is presumably ending this year. There was a meltdown at Chernobyl, spurring fears about the safety of nuclear power, something we are again doing this year. And the Mets won the World Series in a thrilling 7-game campaign against the Red Sox. Something that is, without any shred of doubt, not going to happen this year or any other in the foreseeable. Despite this gulf separating us, I will be presumptuous and give you some advice. And I think this is particularly relevant if you, unlike me, are on the K through JD plan, as it were. You may be worried about working for the first time, concerned that perhaps you won't enjoy being a lawyer. My presumptuous advice is don't worry about it. In all likelihood, things are going to be just fine. We're celebrating today, not just because we're done with school, but because we've gained and mastered an incredibly complex body of knowledge that has fundamentally enhanced us as thinkers. That's one reason why things will be just fine. And so, even if, heaven forfend, you decide you don't like being a lawyer, I am proof that your whole life isn't locked in at 25. If If you need to do something else, change course, to switch the plan, it can be done. You've just earned your JD, but you haven't made a lifetime commitment to it. I advise you, however, not to take the same approach with respect to your marriages. Thank you all. Congratulations.
Alex, I want to thank you for a lot of things I learned from what you just said. One is not to marry Maria Sherwood. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Thomas Bergenthal. At an age when most children began kindergarten, Thomas Bergenthal began a terrifying 5-year journey that began in a mountain village in Czechoslovakia and ended 5 years later at Lashkenhausen concentration camp outside of Berlin. He suffered and witnessed human rights abuses and suffering that could not have drained him of his humanity and left him bitter and vengeful. I should have said it could. Out of these horrifying experiences, however, emerged a great human being, a great humanitarian, and a brilliant scholar and judge, and an uncompromising champion of international human rights. Thomas Bergenthal was born in 1934 in Lubotnia, Czechoslovakia, the small town to which his parents had fled from Germany when the Nazis came to power. When Germany invaded Czechoslovakia in 1939, Thomas and his parents attempted to get to England, but were trapped in Poland. He would spend the next 6 years in a series of work and concentration camps, including Auschwitz-Birkenau, where his father perished. Thomas was one of only 3 children to survive the infamous death march that took him from Auschwitz to Sachsenhausen concentration camp. When the camp was liberated, Thomas was sent to an orphanage where he remained for 2 years until, thanks to a stroke of good luck, he was reunited with his mother. In 1951, at the age of 17, he immigrated to the U.S. to live with his uncle and aunt and attend high school in New Jersey. He attended Bethany College in West Virginia, where he earned an MBA in history and political science. In 1960, he received his JD from the New York University Law School, and then earned an LLM and an SJD in international law from Harvard Law School. Judge Bergenthal has been a member of the law faculties of the Universities of Pennsylvania Law School, the State of New York, and the University of Texas. In 1980, he was named Dean of Washington College of Law of American University, a post he held until 1985, when he joined the faculty of Emory University School of Law. In 1989, he joined the George Washington University Law School, where he was named Lobengier Professor of Comparative Law and Jurisprudence, a position he holds to this day. Judge Bergenthal's casebook, International Protection of Human Rights, is credited with helping to introduce human rights law into law school curricula throughout the country. In addition to many other scholarly books and articles, Judge Bergenthal has written a memoir A Lucky Child, in which he recounts his concentration camp experiences. It has been translated into 12 languages. In 1979, he was appointed to the newly established Inter-American Court of Human Rights, where he helped to lay the groundwork for a human rights tribunal that continues to play a crucial role in Latin American human rights work today. Judge Bergenthal is the founder and president of the Inter-American Institute of Human Rights, and he has served as chairman of the Human Rights Committee of the U.S. National Commission for UNESCO. He has also served as judge of the Inter-American Development Bank's Administrative Tribunal and on the United Nations Truth Commission for El Salvador. He was the first U.S. citizen to be elected to the United Nations Human Rights Committee, one of the highest honors bestowed upon leaders in international human rights. In 2000, in recognition of his remarkable body of work and leadership in international human rights law, Judge Bergenthal was appointed to the International Court of Justice. He served on the court for a decade until he returned to the faculty of George Washington University in 2010. Judge Bergenthal is the recipient of many prizes and awards, including the Manley O. Hudson Medal of the American Society of International Law, the Gruber Foundation International Justice Prize, and the Golden Butcher Human Rights Prize. We are honored to welcome Judge Bergenthal and to award him Brooklyn Law School's highest degree. Will Judge Bergenthal and Dean Gerber please join me at the podium? By the Board of Trustees of Brooklyn Law School, I gladly admit you to the degree of Juris Doctor honoris causa and cause the appropriate hood to be placed on your shoulders, and in token thereof, I present you with this diploma.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. It's truly a great honor for me to be here this morning and to be able to extend my most heartfelt congratulations to today's graduates. You are graduating from a great law school that is not known for making it easy for any but the best to graduate. That is why your degree is so highly valued and why it is such a very special achievement to earn. Many in this hall, your parents, spouses, children, partners, and other relatives have played a very important role in getting you to this point. Don't ever forget their love and sacrifice. Of course, your outstanding professors deserve to be appreciated. I have to say that. But they're outstanding, truly outstanding. You heard my age, so let me say something about my generation. Being almost 3 times removed, not necessarily from the speaker who preceded me, in age from your generation, it is difficult for me to know what to tell you on this very special occasion. So much has changed in the world since I was born. Of course, one thing has not changed, and will probably never change, and that is the expectation and hope of generations of lost graduates that their commencement speaker will be brief. But commencement speakers seldom live up to this expectation. But they believe that they have something to say that deserves to be heard and that graduates will remember for the rest of their lives. What after this? I know better, but I've been asked to speak by your president and dean, and I learned very early in life to obey orders. Unlike past commencement speakers, however, I wonder whether my generation of lawyers has anything to say to your generation that you will find worth hearing. Your generation, probably more so than any that preceded you, is intellectually future-oriented, driven by the belief that technology will and can solve all the world's problems, just as the next iPhone will improve the earlier ones. My generation still lives in the past, whereas you have seen the future, and that divide may not easily be reached. Earlier generations did not differ in life experience all that much from those that followed. But that is no longer true of my generation. For one thing, we will probably always have to come to you, and I think that's also true of your parents, when our computers break down. I still haven't learned to use my thumbs to type an email. We need your help with all the new electronic gadgetry. So what can I tell you that you might consider worth knowing or that you don't already know? I don't know the answer to this question. But not knowing the answer to a question has never stopped a lawyer from addressing it. It's nice to be here among friends. So let me give it a go. The First and the Second World Wars were heralded, as you know, as the wars to end all wars. And yet we are still at it with ever more sophisticated weapons. The post-Holocaust hope of never again remains to be realized. The demise of the Nazi and Soviet regimes did not prevent later totalitarian regimes from oppressing their populations. And despite all the technological progress that has been made, millions and millions of human beings, men, women, and children, still live in subhuman conditions, dying of hunger and of diseases that could easily be cured if only they had access to minimal health care, clean water, and a rational food distribution system. As you can see, despite the generation gap which divides your generation from mine, when it comes to the latest technology, there's still much to be learned from our experience that is relevant to the world you are inheriting from us, particularly if you're interested in helping to improve it for future generations. My generation believed and continues to believe that it is possible and important to improve the lives of the world's poor, that wars and genocide must and can be prevented, that racial, religious, and other forms of discrimination must and can be eradicated, and that the protection and promotion of human rights in all parts of the world is an achievable goal. And while we have had only limited success in realizing these objectives, our message to you, our hope, is that in your private and professional lives you will recognize the importance of helping to better the lives of our fellow human beings and fighting for a world in which wars and genocide will be no more. The commitment to achieve these goals is probably more important today than ever before, if only because our technological advances are making the world socially, politically, and economically more interconnected, increasingly preventing countries and peoples from closing themselves off from the consequences, both good and bad, of outside events. What happens in the Middle East, in Africa, and in other parts of the world not only reaches us in real time, it also can impact us almost as fast with unpredictable consequences. It is also worth noting that my generation and that of your parents can point to some important positive international developments. The demise of the Soviet Union has allowed Eastern and Central European countries and some former Soviet republics to join a free and democratic Europe. Apartheid has ended in South Africa, leading to the establishment of a multiracial democratic state that was once only a dream. The dictatorial regimes which ruled much of Latin America in the 1970s and 1980s are, with minor exceptions today, governed by freely elected governments. Former colonies in Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world have become independent nations, some more democratic than others, whose populations, as we've seen recently, thirst for freedom and human dignity. There now exists a vast international code governing the protection of human rights, international humanitarian law, and international criminal law. It took more than half a century after Nuremberg for the International Criminal Court to be established. The International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda have since the mid-1990s convicted most of the leaders responsible for genocide, war, and crimes against humanity in the Balkans and Rwanda. With the recent capture of General Mladic and his transfer to the Yugoslav Tribunal in The Hague, the most vicious criminal to emerge from the Balkan Wars can finally be tried. It may have taken 16 years to capture him, but the fact that he's now in The Hague serves as a warning to all present and potential dictators and war criminals that they will no longer be able to escape being brought to justice before an international court. 3 regional international human rights courts have been established in Europe, the Americas, and most recently in Africa. The European and Inter-American Courts of Human Rights have over the years decided numerous cases, finding many governments in violation of their international human rights obligations and compelling them to remedy the consequences of these violations. While the various United Nations organs can justly be criticized for a lack of impartiality, the UN has over the years adopted a large number of human rights treaties and declarations, beginning with the Genocide Convention and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, that have laid the legal foundation for the international promotion and protection of human rights. This law is applied effectively in some parts of the world and not yet in others. In short, we have come a long way from the 1930s when Hitler, with total impunity, was able to embark on the Holocaust. The sad fact is that it took the Holocaust to lay the foundation for an international system for the protection of human rights. This system is still very much a work in progress, and it will take your generation of lawyers and those following in your footsteps to make it universally effective. It is very much in your interest to work for the achievement of this goal. I know, of course, that most of you are thinking of jobs and nothing but jobs. And with good reason these days. But I also know that each of you will soon find a job. After all, you're graduating from a highly regarded law school whose graduates have always been in great demand. Let me therefore express the hope that once the current economic uncertainty is over, you will recognize your obligation as concerned human beings and as lawyers to help improve the lives of others in the United States and abroad. Congratulations again to all of you.
Thank you, Judge Bergenthal. Dean Michael Gerlo will now address the graduating class.
As quite a number of you know, This time of the year usually finds me in Beijing teaching in our summer program. And several of you had asked me whether I'm sorry that I'm not in China. And actually, although I very much enjoy being in China, I'm always a little sad about missing commencement and the opportunity to see students off. And frequently, my colleagues on the stage will interrupt my sleep because it's 12 hours ahead of time to tell me who's just graduated. So I'm very happy to be here, and still I'm thinking about China because I'm recalling a conversation that I had in Shanghai last year with the head of the Asia practice of a well-known international law firm. He was born and raised in China, and today he leads a practice that spans the globe. And he had a question. Mike, he asked, what is it about United States lawyers that makes them so prized and sought after by clients all over the world? I could have responded by talking about the long reach of U.S. capital and U.S. culture. After all, the world has seen U.S. lawyers portrayed mainly as heroes in movies and television for decades. Whether or not we're the best lawyers in the world, we're definitely the cools. But I didn't think this was the answer that he was looking for, so on further reflection, I told him that I thought one reason that U.S. lawyers continue to be so prized, even in an era when some legal work is being outsourced to other countries, is what law students do before they come to law school. And Alex is a pretty good example. In many countries, law is an undergraduate course of study into which students are tracked at a very early age, at a point before their interests are fully formed. Of course, that's not the case here. You came to law school with a broad array of interests, educational backgrounds, and work experience. I know you may feel as if you checked all of that baggage at the door, but that is just a bailment. The knowledge and experience that you acquired and honed and hoarded over the course of your pre-law school lifetime may very well turn out to be relevant to your life as a lawyer. And in an extraordinary way, Judge Bergenthal is a case in point. In the epilogue to his memoir, A Lucky Child, he wrote that, unlike most of his law school classmates, he was never really interested in traditional law practice and was drawn to human rights law. Later, he understood that he had been drawn to this branch of law because he sensed that if it were developed and strengthened, future generations might be spared the suffering that Nazi Germany had visited upon his family and upon the world. What does this mean to all of you who hopefully have not witnessed or experienced human tragedy of such epic or any proportion? It means that you should get out those flame jets and redeem your pre-law school experiences. This is more than just a psychological adjustment. It's good professional advice. I once asked Richard Reisner, a member of the class of 1973 and a founder of the technology firm formerly known as Brown Reisner, what advice he would give to graduating students, particularly students who are graduating into a difficult market. He suggested that in any market, new lawyers who want to build interesting and fulfilling practices should reconnect with their non-legal interests and develop opportunities, professional contacts, and reputations by interacting with non-lawyers who are working in those fields. Richard is an MIT graduate, and he was interested in technology. So for him, that meant writing about technology issues and becoming involved in trade associations of software developers and users. Of course, depending on what interests you checked at the door, his advice might mean becoming involved with travel agents or PR firms or artists or wetland conservationists. On the other hand, law school may have moved you in a completely new direction. Because I had worked in publishing for a couple of years prior to law school, I assumed that I would specialize in what was then quaintly known as copyright law. I practice and I teach bankruptcy law. How did this happen? From time to time, I've spoken to my students about plot points. Screenwriter Sidney Field says that a plot point is an unexpected incident or event that hooks into a story and spins it around into an entirely new direction. It moves the story forward. It moves your stories forward. You read Judge Bergenthal's memoir, you'll see that his survival was the result of unexpected incidents that hooked into his story, moved it in new directions, and proved ultimately to be his salvation. Instead of selecting Thomas for extermination with other children, an Auschwitz guard inexplicably agrees to let him join the work detail. A doctor overseeing a group of prisoners scheduled to be gassed decides to spare the young boy with whom he had somehow made a human connection. A staff member of the Displaced Persons Agency manages, through a stroke of great good luck, to make the connection between Thomas, then living in an orphanage, and his mother, who had returned to Germany. And what does this mean to you who can't even begin to fathom the brutality and hopelessness that Judge Bergenthal experienced? Well, if you look back on your life and your law school experience, you'll see that they too have been studded with plot points. And these plot points have moved your story forward and possibly in new directions. An internship with a bankruptcy judge moved my story forward and in an entirely new direction. You may have represented asylum seekers in our Safe Harbor clinic. You may have represented a new media startup in our incubator and policy clinic. You might have worked on a public offering for a law firm client or a consent decree for the SEC. An international human rights fellowship may have taken you to Ecuador or Kenya or Rwanda. You may have been mentored by a judge or a senior attorney or by one of my colleagues on this stage. The point is that someone or something introduced you to a practice area that up to that point never particularly interested you, and then suddenly you were hooked. And if this hasn't happened yet, it will, and it may happen unexpectedly. For the past several years, we've been training you to think like a lawyer. And if you've gotten the impression that thinking like a lawyer refers solely to the process of unraveling complex problems like cold issue, rule, analysis, conclusion thinking, I need to perform one more psychological adjustment on you. IRAC thinking only gets you so far. There's another facet to thinking like a lawyer, another force that will shape your professional and your personal lives. If you've taken a course with me, you've heard me carry on, sometimes at length, about serendipity. And if you haven't, now you will. The word serendipity is believed to have been coined by British author Horace Walpole in 1754. Walpole had been intrigued with a Persian fairy tale in which three princes of the island nation of Serendip, later known as Ceylon, now known as Sri Lanka, traveled the world. In the course of their travels, the princes of Serendip made wonderful discoveries, Walpole wrote, by accident and sagacity of things that they were not in quest of. Today, serendipity is defined as the faculty of making happy and unexpected discoveries by accident. Serendipity is a phenomenon that I spent many hours discussing with my brother-in-law, David Coleman, who I'm sorry to say passed away last week. David was a brilliant scientist and one of the clearest-headed but least cliche thinkers I've ever known. He wrote about serendipity in blog postings that are still available on the website of the Montreal Neurological Institute, where he served as director. David said that one excellent example of serendipitous observation that led to a great discovery occurred in 1922, when researcher Alexander Fleming, suffering from a particularly nasty cold, happened to sneeze into a Petri dish full of bacteria. He absent-mindedly put the Petri dish on his cluttered desk, and a few days later, he noticed to his great surprise that the bacteria in the dish had been destroyed. His curiosity was aroused, and following his nose, so to speak, he isolated the antibacterial protein that ultimately led to the development of penicillin. For this, he won the Nobel Prize. At the Nobel ceremonies, Fleming commented, "Nature makes penicillin, I just found it." One sometimes finds what one is not looking for. But the power of serendipity is not confined to scientific research. I'm guessing that serendipity may already have played an important role in your professional and personal lives. While researching a line of cases, you may have happened upon a less obvious but nevertheless powerful legal theory that offered an entirely new approach to solving your client's problems. That's serendipity. I can't tell you how many students have arrived at law school with the goal of becoming sports and entertainment lawyers. But thanks to the intervention of one of these plot points, a chance encounter with an engaging professor, an experience in a clinical program, or a summer job, we're inspired to pursue an entirely new and different goal. On the other hand, there's the case of my former student, a member of the class of 1984, who wanted to pursue a career in international trade, and who now represents Bob Dylan, DMX, and Prince. That too is serendipity. And romance can be the product of serendipity. You may have enrolled in evidence because you were told it's an important course, which it is, and over the course of the semester found a person who will be your life or law firm partner. That's also serendipity. I'm not urging you to embrace mushy, magical thinking. I'm not suggesting that you cast your fate, not to mention your client's face, to the wings of chance, nor can you just sit back and let serendipity open doors for you. To the contrary, as you probably detected from these examples and from Judge Bergenthal's experiences, or possibly your own, serendipity operates best in a special environment. As Louis Pasteur observed, chance favors the prepared mind. And as my friend in China implicitly recognized when he asked me about the mystique of U.S. lawyers, you are now equipped with truly prepared minds. You've been taught to think deeply, to think ahead, to think around corners, and to think creatively. A prepared mind is where clear-headed linear analysis and openness to serendipity converge, and it will serve you well in the years ahead. And speaking of the years ahead, keep in mind that your career path, and actually it's more of a journey, with all its unexpected plot points, is going to be full of surprises. We all need goals, and we all need to develop a plan for achieving those goals. But for most of us, the journey isn't a direct flight. For all sorts of reasons, including troubled economies, plans go awry. We may have to spend some time circling. Timetables invariably require adjustment. Some routes close up as others open. And that's why it's important to understand that there's an element, a very, very big element, of serendipity in achieving success. A few years ago, you were told that you were joining a family. And today, as I see 26 graduates receive their degrees from alumni relatives, I'm reminded of what a large and proud and distinguished family we are. And speaking of family, please join me in acknowledging my faculty colleagues who have taught and mentored and possibly tormented you over these past couple of years. I want to make special note of one family member and thank her for her 16 years of service as dean and her continued service as president. Talk about plot points. If you've lived in File Hall, if you've received an endowed scholarship, if you've taken one of the scores of courses that have been added to the curriculum over the past decade and a half, if you've taken advantage or if you've received one of the clerkships that she helped secure, your story has been moved forward because of her stewardship. And I ask you to all join me in thanking President Joan Wetzler for her 24/7 dedication to the law school and to all members of the BLS community. And all of this talk of family brings me to my closing point. We law school deans are a funny breed, and I've only been one for a little while. Some of you may think that your entire law school career has passed without you and I ever exchanging a word or glance, but the dean knows who you are. Throughout your entire mortal existence, no matter where your career takes you, through all the ups and downs of life, and I hope you will have mainly ups, the dean will be only a personalized email away, keeping you informed about the progress of your alma mater, and asking for your continued support. Now, you may think you can't put a price on a friendship like that. But the dean has a ballpark figure in mind. And although you may have trouble believing it right now, with the bar exam and other major challenges looming ahead of you, I promise that there will come a time in the not-too-distant future when you will be in a position to dispense advice to a new generation of graduates, when you will want to mentor the students who will be following in your footsteps, and you will. And you will be the plot points in their lives. And so, class of 2011, I salute you, and I ask that the administration and the faculty, as well as your family and friends, join me in giving you a very well-deserved round of applause.
Now for the tough part. Dean Gerber will now present the group awards.
Will all the members of the Brooklyn Law Review please rise so that we may congratulate them on receiving the Law Review Certificate of Meritorious Service. These graduates have exhibited tremendous devotion to legal scholarship, research, and writing. And on behalf of the entire law school community, I express our appreciation to Jameson Dempsey, the editor-in-chief, to Sasha Linney, the managing editor, and to all of the staff for their dedication and their hard work. Will all the members of the Brooklyn Journal of International Law please rise so that we may congratulate them on receiving the Journal of International Law Certificate of Meritorious Service. We're proud of this publication, the editor-in-chief, Karen Scheinman, the managing editor, Gary Anderer, and the staff. Thank you all for your great service. Will all the members of the Journal of Law and Policy please rise so that we can congratulate them on receiving the Journal of Law and Policy Certificate of Meritorious Service. We thank the editor-in-chief, William Spire, the managing editor, Heather Martoni, and all the other members of the Journal for their energy and their enterprise. Will all the members of the Brooklyn Journal of Corporate, Financial, and Commercial Law please rise so that we may congratulate them on receiving the Business Law Journal is the newest member of our family of scholarly journals, and we thank the editor-in-chief, Robert Marco, the managing editor, Stephen Brinstock, and the staff for their tireless efforts in making it a success. Will the members of the Moot Court Honor Society please rise? We congratulate the President, Chris Picasso, the Vice Presidents, John Mulvaney, Christopher Rapoli, and Gianna Ray, and the entire Executive Board on this exceptional year. Our teams brought home 27 competition prizes, and LawSchoolAdvocacy.com recently ranked our Moot Court team 6th in the nation for 2011. individuals who have excelled in advocacy and service at their law schools. Congratulations to all of you. Will Student Bar Association President Judith Soto and the other executive board members and delegates of the SBA please rise so that we may congratulate them on receiving Student Bar Association Award. The SBA is the organization that represents the student body and plays an important role in improving the quality of the academic and non-academic life for our students. Thank you for a spectacular year. Will the Edward B. Sparrow Public Interest Law Fellows please rise? We salute the commitment and dedication of this year's 24 graduating Sparrow Fellows who work for distinguished public interest organizations in the U.S. and around the world, and we thank them for their commitment to social justice. Will the International Business Law Fellows please rise? The Dennis J. Block Center for the Study of International Business Law provides students with a special opportunity to study international business law and policy. Congratulations to the 10 graduating fellows. Will the International Human Rights Fellows, Roy Anderson, Jillian Cassell-Stiga, and William Puglisi, please rise? This fellowship affords students a unique opportunity to acquire experience working on international human rights issues here and abroad. Will the Professor Barry L. Zaretsky Fellows please rise? Matthew Fleischer, Faizan Fazlani, Jonathan Moyahara, Cabinet Secretary, and Mary Chandler. This fellowship was instituted in memory of Professor Barry L. Zaretsky, a mentor of generations of students and a distinguished scholar in the fields of commercial and bankruptcy law. This fellowship celebrates his life and career by providing support to students who have demonstrated outstanding academic achievement in these fields. Thank you. Congratulations. Will the Paul Wendell Jr. Fellows, George Bauer, Priscilla Chang, and Eleonora Zlatnikova please rise? This fellowship was created just this past year by the Law School's Board of Trustees in honor of the late Paul Wendell Jr., who served for many years as chairman of the board. It recognizes his extraordinary service to the law school and his important work at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission and in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of New York. The fellows interned in these offices and exemplify Mr. Wendell's character and integrity. Will the editor-in-chief of the yearbook, Simone Rogers, and the managing editors, Karen Lee and Lindsay Lieberman, and the entire yearbook staff, please rise? The yearbook chronicles life at the law school and the many memorable moments that have led up to this event. Thank you for the memories.
We will now proceed with awarding of degrees to the class of 2011.
One of the best things about being a dean is welcoming students, and one of the bittersweet things is bidding them goodbye. That's why commencement makes me wistful. Truly, the saddest thing is saying goodbye to students who, because of tragic circumstances, don't make it to the finish line. Before I call you to the stage, I'd like to call to mind two students who began this journey with me, but who were not able to complete it, Justin Ingerman and Allison Nutella. There were two extraordinary people who had a profound effect upon the BLS community, and they're very much in our class today. As a class, you decided to dedicate your class gift in memory of them. Justin Ingerman began law school with you in the fall of 2008. An urban study major at the University of Pennsylvania, he came to Brooklyn Law School to pursue his passion by working on urban redevelopment and affordable housing issues. He was prepared to intern as a private developer in the New York City Department of Housing Preservation and Development, and he was looking forward to participating in our own community development plan. He passed away after his first semester. Allison Matella died just this past April. For nearly 3 years, Allison was an active and influential member of the BLS community. She was a real leader and managed a team of 5 students working in the Brooklyn Law School Incubator and Policy Clinic. She was president of Brooklyn Law School Democrats and a student member of the City Bar's Federal Litigation Committee. She completed her degree requirements during the spring semester, and therefore, today we award her degree posthumously. Allison's parents, Steve and Bobby McCullough, are here with us today. Please come up to accept Allison's degree. Will the students who are receiving their degrees, summa cum laude, please rise? Mr. Sabatna, these 9 candidates have fulfilled with the greatest distinction the requirements for the degree of Juris Doctor and are entitled to receive the degree summa cum laude.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor summa cum laude with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Please come to the stage.
Although I will not be announcing the prizes and awards awarded to each graduate, I urge you to read the description of the prizes and the recipients' names in your programs. We're very proud of our prize recipients and congratulate them on their significant achievements. Also, I have to tell you that among this group of summa graduates is the first of this year's graduates to receive a diploma from someone seated on the stage. This is one of Brooklyn Law School's favorite graduation traditions. When a student has a relative who is a graduate, we make that person a part of our ceremony. Elena Timberland. Heather Marie Martone. Carmela Roman. will receive his degree from his uncle, Warren Lazaro, class of 1986. Andrew Schmidt. Alex Paul Ginsberg. Stanton D. Gallegos. Ryan M. Gaynor. Will the students who are receiving their degrees magna cum laude please rise? Mr. Chewbacca, these 33 candidates have fulfilled with great distinction the requirement for the degree of Juris Doctor and are entitled to receive their degrees magna cum laude.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor, magna cum laude, with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Please come to the stage.
Sarah Sullivan. Dan Michelson will be receiving his degree from his father, Robert Michelson, class of 1982. Angelica Karen Grosso. Victoria Bettina Brown. She's receiving her degree from Ella Lewis Brown, class of 2010. David Jackson Bedingfield. Nick S. Pillette III. George N. Bauer. Zachary H. Klein. Stephen Benson. Amy Burlett. Carolyn Renee Davis. Laura A. Zaccone. Christopher Lynn. Michael Gerard Scavelli. Jennifer N. Reynolds. Sasha L. Linney. David M. Terriani. Alexander Newton Wolverton. Sarah White. Courtney Macaroni. Aaron Mikkel Shinneman. Joshua A. Saltzman. Gennady Zilberman. Jocelyn Phyllis Modesto. Andrea L. Lucera. Let's check it. Scott J. Kirschke. Christina A. Murphy. Rachel Danielle Ferroni. Robert N. Alcorn. Luis Alejandro Morales. Marissa Eve Knapp. Nathaniel John Norman. Russell Y. Staton. And are entitled to the added distinction of cum laude.
By virtue of the authority vested in me, I confer upon you the degree of Juris Doctor cum laude with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto. Please come to the stage.
Paul Edward Maines. Who will be receiving her degree from her cousin, Warren Swern, class of 1995. David Kim. Christopher M. Rapoli. Noah J. Levine. Jason K. Yorn. Catherine T. Matas. Catherine A. Wood. Joseph Moore. Andrew Tran. Jason T. Merrill. Vito R. Pita, who will receive his degree from his father, Vincent Pita, class of 1978. Bailey E. Sonner. William L. Spirer. Ari L. Tran, who will receive his degree from his sister, Robin Tran, class of 2009. Sarah A. Westby. John P. Mulvaney. Randy M. Sherman. Carrie Allen Ross. Ruth Sedley. Susan George. Steve Lightenbrook. Nicholas I. Banner. Thomas J. Curtin. Priscilla Ting Chang. Evan H. Fox. Christopher Loriak. Michael F. Higgins. Kristen M. Gallagher. Ian R. Henry. Megan K. O'Malley. Krista L. Watson. Paul Bader. Michael John Kennedy. Lisa Mary Baldwin. Christopher M. Costa. Kevin M. Scully. Benjamin John Travers, who is receiving his degree from his fiancée, Rebecca Wasserman, Sarah Goodley. Rebecca Wasserman, class of 2009. Laura R. Zimmerman. Sarah Jean Monset. Preeti Trivedi. Lindsay Beth Lieberman. Richard Keith Weingarten. Diane Mirabile Rafael. Christine Meyer. Catherine Anastasia Stepnow. Amanda M. Reese, and she's receiving her degree from her father, Richard D. Reese, class of 1971. Megan Sullivan. Jason J. Dempsey. Jessica Naima Chelani. Paul Koster. Alexander J. Brandis. Jillian R. Cassell-Spiga. Hillary N. Dowling. Michael P. Devani. Leslie Douglas Knight. Valentina Marie DePippo. Kevin Robert Johansson. Nicole Renee Broussard. Eric T. Gerson. Jennifer Lee Hay. Lauren May Eaton. Joshua J. Rudolph. Alexander B. Victor. who will receive his degree from his grandfather, Saul Victor, class of 1954. Stephen M. Zimmerman. Mr. Spotman, 347 candidates not already named have successfully pursued the long and arduous program leading to the degree of Juris Doctor. The faculty has found that they meet the standards of excellence and have demonstrated the personal qualities that make them worthy holders of the Brooklyn Law School degree. Will these candidates please rise?
I confer upon each of you the degree of Juris Doctor with all the rights and privileges pertaining thereto.
And now, under the direction of the marshals, and by that I mean the auditorium marshals, I ask the candidates to please come to the stage row by row. Danielle R. Iredale. Alicia Lee. Bodie Reed. Amy Nye. Timothy John McKeon. Erica L. Heismer. Irene Tan. Eva Lay. Brittany R. Levenbrown. Eleonora Slotnikova. Leonard J. Wiener. Benjamin L. Tabler. Danielle J. Moss. Jessica Shamba. Laura M. Macarone. Matthew H. Lawrence, Jr. Romina Tominez. Sulatana Menon. Anne Christine Yee. Joshua Franklin Levine. Ian R. Madden. Vivian Travis. Nissan Sabir. Erin Elizabeth Miller. Nikki F. Cabrera. Daniel F. Pittman.
Take a picture, take a picture.
John F. Jess. Kevin G. Connolly. Lloyd Michael Anderson. Christopher M. Dominic. Matthew T. Dudley. Christopher J. DeChico. Amy Chang Se. Jose L. Corona. Victor I. Cohn. Ruth DeLuca. Elizabeth Evans. Mary Margaret Anderson. Archana Dinakande. Rebecca S. Dents, who is receiving her degree from her mother, Professor Lisa Smith, class of 1978. Skylar J. Gordon. John Patrick Dillon. Joseph Ian Berger.
This camera's not great.
Mary Whitlock Cantor. Britt Allison Alhart. Ariel Berman. Holly Alexander Fitzgerald. Kate M. Harrison. E. Megan Handler.
I can feel
Alexandra Huel. Catherine Francis Sear.
Slow down.
Ann C. Koski. Leah M. Ravosky. Daniel Alfred Devine. Latoya S. Bell. Erica J. Myrtle. Daniel Patrick Cronin Jr. He will be receiving his degree from Daniel Patrick Cronin Sr., class of 1972.
30 seconds.
Rebecca Ryland Huset. Stephen Daniel Benizio.
Come on, dude.
The baby is Maya, who was born 5 months ago. And the mother is Yael Fuller. Jonathan Grant. Christopher J. Hickman. Matthew B. Fleischer. Alexandra Bishaza. Robert E. Budd. Damian L. Cortese.
As you get paid,
Anita and Awaji Adrian. Natalie Marie Bataille. Ashley Renee Allison. Michael Kenton. Elise Marie Sheshu. Maria Kristova, who is receiving her degree from her sister, Linda, class of 29. David Hattendorf. Caroline E. Dorman. Ashley D. Blossom. Una K. Cassidy. Anna Katerina Cable Cully. Carmen Elena Jewell. Stephanie Castellano. Joel Patrick Bermejo. Misa Chang. Sarah S. Hyde. Ariel J. Runberg. Amanda Lee Melvin. Meredith Michelle Picard. Sasha Emma Fresky, who will receive her degree, listen carefully, from her future father-in-law, Robert Michelson, who's coming up for the second time because he presented the diploma to his son Dan, class of 1982. Daria Rafi Lacazette. Peter S. O'Neill. Michael Richard Mastrangelo. Darrell G. Leon. Jessica Cassidy Willett. Richard R. Stein. Rick J. Lasher. Ronnie T. Ostrom. Aliza C. Rosen. Valentine Angelica Pagano. Judith Nera Soto. Marianne Farapel. Alana Rose Silverberg. Nina Claudia Oxman. Amy Eisen. Risa Michelle Chalfin. Jason M. Goldberg. Jeffrey G. Crispin. Jeremy B. Bell. Gia Ann Curtola. Anna N. Ansari. Joanna Kata. Sarah Elizabeth Kelly. Brian L. Kenny. Lydia Dukovic. Daniel Edward John Poe. Jonathan Lee Hillstein. Mitchell Lyndon Matthew Blair. Michaela F. Carpio. Marissa F. Dominguez. Rima Luckfinder. Shannon R. Denise Choi is receiving her degree from her cousins, Mika Bondi, class of 94, and Chechun Yun, class of 99. Michelle H. Quinn. Jacqueline Sacco. Theodore H. Nadler. Samantha Skye Rubenson, who is receiving her degree from her father, Jeffrey A. Rubenson, class of 1989. Leslie A. Peterson.
Four more rows in a row.
Marjorie Yang. Angela Lamb. Adam D. Michael. David Udalo. Matthew J. Turturro. Robert Markham. Jennifer R. Forrest. Erica J. Miro.
How's Erica Brewer?
Harris L. Marks. Anthony J. Lagombo. Adam Sandler. Jendin Wong. Heather A. Jacoby. Ashley L. Shane. Emma G. Takeda.
Let's see again.
And Gordon Angus McLeod will receive his degree from his father, Gordon Lloyd McLeod, class of 1972. Pearl Parry.
No, there can only be one.
Carolyn Elisa Rinaldi. Nicole S. K. Chow. Emery A. Martin.
Well, another one.
Richard P. Fleming. Ryan E. Jensen. Sheila Lynn Jarrett. Evan N. Goldman will be receiving his degree from his father, Ira Goldman, class of 1982. Zachary G. Caron. Rachel A. Cameron. Brian A. Kittleblatt. Kevin M. Fallady. Daniel Burke is receiving his degree from his father, Howard Burke, class of 1977. Paul Danger Parson. Carol E. Fagan. Jason I. Blanchard. James Wan. Matthew Ted Thomas. Arya Newerski.
It's time.
Adam Jude Bevilacqua. Catherine A. Ryan. Melissa Livingston. Whitney G. Schlimba. Elizabeth N. Barillo. Rosalind Ting. Lyra Sheena. Kate Elaine Reber. Daniel S. Sue. Anuradha Lazar. Karen Lee.
Bravo, Nikki!
Nikki Tismanakis. Marie Noel Murray. Kelly Ann Vanderbilt. Shane Judith Rosen Rule. Heather M. Levine. David W. Blue. Alexander Francis Julio. Erica Sari Youngerman. Mackenzie O'Loughlin Savery. Michael J. Testa. Andrew D. Stein. Andrew D. Yu. Robin Dana Craterman. Taylor H. Chapman. Carrie E. Anger. Anju Abraham. Christopher J. David Abraham Cole. Christopher Moran. Kevin Raj Singh Bhatia. Gotti Gordon. Michael J. Bonfletti. John Paul Gonzalez.
No more?
Justin B. Fox. Ryan A. Wagner. Adam Thomas Obinger. David L. Moss.
Totally good. That thing's got to be.
Simone Lakima Roberts.
I do like the good number.
Danielle Regan. Max Harrison Sigmund. John J. Lee. Jiao Zhang. Robin Hughes Lasky. Gregory P. Volchinsky. Catherine Lee. Victoria C. Sue. Michelle S. Velasco. Terry W. Scott. Lee Moran Magnum. Alexandra Love Fellini. Elizabeth Ann Gatcomb. Nima Desai. Barbara J. Anicolt. Ashley Elizabeth Iodisi. Dana C. Loretta. Boris Ramsey.
Oh yeah, you got out. Today? Yeah. I'll go next Monday.
Charles L. Rutton, and Charles is receiving his degree from his father, Alan Rutton, class of
He's gonna get a good deal
1966.
though.
His grandfather, Herman Rutton, received his LLB from law school in 1931 and his LLM in 1932.
Pretty big one.
Amy Zern Cleary. Amy Tay Jen. Jacqueline Covington. Noel Faye Ebert. Sun Moo Hale. Edwin E. Wan. Philip Hung. Jason Hui Jia. Jorge Luis Garcia.
Oh.
Matthew R. Bremer. Andrew Guerrero. Svetlana Kolomaya. Noah Adam Doyle.
Oh, Lord, Lord. You got more to tell.
Jeffrey R. Smith.
Look at something, too.
Michael K. Marino. Joshua C. Morrell. Andrew Douglas White. Jonathan E. Orell. Thomas F. Rennie. Robert Winfield Witherman. Ryan D. O'Connor. Philip Todd Ratman. David Jonathan Stolzberg. Mark Andrew Reifel. Alan Lund. Christina Ashby Pajovis. Jesse Hyatt Thompson. Jared Brett Spiegel. Andrew R. Samuels, who will be receiving this degree from his father, Howard J. Samuels, class of 1973. Samuel Van Dusen Lewis. Ryan Zack. Alexander Sponsor. We have brother and sister. Lara Sponsor. Faye Jocelyn. Samantha Wayne. Pearl S. Aspen. And Pearl is receiving her degree from her father, Eric Matt, class of 1997. Jonathan Cohen. Aaron Lindsay Brooks. Catherine Belkacilla. Jason Hart. Alina A. Eskin.
Last one?
John C. Carroll. Juan Howe and Alexander. Timothy R. Kane. Monsa A. Burberry Jr. Faizan Ghaznavi. Igor Feinstein. Alexander Altschuler. Emily Rachel Green. Kimberly M. Cannon. Simon Hahn. Raphael Ruttenberg. Lauren M. Reed. Robert Andrew McRae.
I'll go with it.
June K. Lee. Douglas Lee.
She went to 9 o'clock. I want to leave for the...
Hung Soo Park. Namir Saad Shukri. Benjamin L. Simpson. Brian Spencer McDonald. Gianna and Lynn Ray will be receiving her degree from her cousin, Scott O'Leary, class of 2010. Rena Swasman. Kai Ying. Gregory Daniel Murphy. Michael D. Knopf. Mark A. Sarcelli. Adam Markovich. Guy F. Lometti. Philip J. Tucker.
I can't. I have to speak manager show.
Ashley A. Mostrina.
The birthday party?
Jenna A. Boyle. Robert Tom Spencer. Encore Munir will be receiving his degree from his sister, Herbie Munir, class of 2009. Bertie Mead. Bradley Michael Warner. Shari Sirolini will be receiving her from her uncle and her cousin, Harold Lee, class of 1967, and Richard Lee, class of 2002. Logan Yu. Jenny E. Mark. Salvatore Melli. Jeffrey H. Palmer. Paul R. Townsend. Harris. Julianne Tanner. Melanie Spade. Natalie Nicole Vale. Kelly Jana Rosen. Latoya Ann Best. Nicholas Honemeyer. Rebecca S. Birmingham. Eric Douglas Knapp. Juan Carlos Rubin. Jonathan D. Rosen. Layla Rashidi. Jonathan Moriheda. Jordan Bernard Rosenhouse. And this is our last graduate. Roger Derrick.
Quite an event, huh? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this wonderful event. I ask now that the faculty members and our guests on stage leave the hall first by departing from the stage through the hall, and that the students follow the faculty members. I ask that all guests remain in their seats until the recession is completed. And I want to thank you again for joining us today. This is well worth it, all the years that you guys have put in.